during our lives on earth, there's angels and spirits that are around us, as we just heard, right?
That's
and
right.
those two sides are not passive. They are directly or just through sort of osmosis recruiting us to come join their side.
Oh.
Their angels are constantly trying to get us to think and focus on heavenly things, while demons are trying to do the opposite, get us to think and focus on hellish things. But they can't just force us to do something. They can only influence us according to our own interests, our own affections, sort of what we indulge in, and what we choose
you
to.
think they'd want to just push you around or something.
That's right.
And just like, hey, think what I think.
Yeah.
It's important.
The demons definitely would, but it's only if we give them something to interact with. And so we're going to go to a story that Swedenborg tells in Spiritual Experiences 647, where he describes a time in which he was being influenced, and just that when you've got to focus on something, it doesn't matter who tries to dissuade you from it. So the title of this is Speaking and Coaxing Are of No Avail When the Heart is Longing, Moved by a Love.
Speaking and coaxing. So in other words, someone else trying to talk you into or out of this or that, coaxing you, like, come on, you shouldn't do that, or nagging or whatever. It just doesn't have any effect if your heart is longing and is moved by some love.
That's right. He begins. Through much experience with spirits, I have learned that persuasion contrary to the feelings is of no avail whatsoever. For very often my heart has been moved by some feeling, and meanwhile, spirits as well as angels, remember, he can hear them, would coax, saying that this should be done and not that. But as long as I was gripped by that feeling, their coaxing could have no effect whatsoever, as I even told them in response on several occasions.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of sense of humor in there. Yeah. It's true. And it's interesting, in so many other stories, like some of the other spiritual road trips we've been on recently, it's about someone else.
Yes.
And I thought when you introduced this about speaking and coaxing would be about him trying to coax somebody else. But no, he's telling this story about himself.
Yeah.
That spirits and even angels were lining up, telling him what should be done and what shouldn't.
Yeah.
And he is just talk to the hand. He's completely stubborn.
Yeah. Lay off me. I'm starving.
Yes, that's right. If it happened to be a food-related point. Yeah, that's right. And
to quote Chris Farrell.
As I told them in response on several occasions, that you're getting nowhere. I mean, you're wonderful. I love you, but you're getting absolutely nowhere, because my love is against what you're saying. And
that he was aware enough to observe it, but still couldn't change it. But you see here that there is a change coming.
Oh, really?
He says also this, that if the feeling shifted only a little, then at once my mind was changed, and I would yield to the persuasion. And isn't that is so true?
That is amazing.
You just see something a little differently. Like you have an idea, like someone suggests, let's go to the park. And you're like, no, I'm not going to go to the park. I'm thinking of rain. I'm thinking of hard to get a parking spot, all this stuff. But then something shifts and you remember something fun there. And the whole concept of it as a package is like, of course I'll do that. And then that's when you end up getting in the car.
Yeah, and if this may not have happened to you yet, but if you ever get in an argument with another human being, sometimes people actually quarrel and things like that.
Why would you do that?
You can get so intense and stubborn about, like, my point is right, and you know what I mean, and you're just unmoving. It doesn't matter. Like if you had all the evidence in the world or something, you're not going to move off the dime.
No,
but
because it's not even about the evidence.
Once you leave it alone a little bit, take a deep breath or go somewhere else, or do something to take a walk or something like that. As soon as that cracks, then I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't know what got in.
Like, no, you're right.
It's so interesting that he said if the feeling shifted only a little, then at once my mind was changed. So if you can get that to move a little bit, it's like a tipping point, isn't it?
Yes.
In a sense. Boom, the whole thing changes around. And then he would yield to what the angel, then he suddenly became available in a different way to this angel input.
Yes, right. So, and from this and many actual experiences, I was able to learn that all persuasion contrary to one's loves can achieve absolutely nothing.
Now, isn't there so much in our world that says that, oh no, just repeat it so many times, it'll become true to them or something?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like persuasion, just all these efforts, all the marketing and all the things that are trying to get you to think this. But here, this is saying, hey, if someone's love is active and is against what you're saying, you will get absolutely nowhere. It's interesting.
And now listen
and he's observing this in himself.
Right. Listen to where he takes this now.
Oh.
He says, this is the reason why those spirits who are demons, who operate through the passions, are the most dangerous.
I see. So this is like that thing about there being different levels of hell, right? And the demons are the worst ones, very, very deep level. And the people he calls Satan sometimes will operate through your thoughts. They have false thoughts that counter your thoughts. But here I think he's talking about these demons who operate through your passions. He even talks about evil spirits that try to bypass your thought process, just sneak into your feelings and sneak into your heart. And they're the most dangerous. I can see why, because if they can get your heart, they're not even trying to persuade you of anything. They just want your heart to be aimed in a certain direction. If they can get your heart going in a way that they like, man, you're a runaway train. You know, there's nothing can stop you.
So we have a story here that's both about the influence of our inner self and the focus, but then also the potency of angels and demons and how that shows up in our life. He finishes, on the other hand, the angel's way of working is to bend minds toward good through the feelings, the Lord so directing. And I see that like contrast there of the demons are working into your passions directly. Angels are trying, they use feelings because, as we saw, it's the feelings that do anything.
That's right.
But just the way that that's described seems to be much more like they're gentle and they're non-destructive. That they're, hey, will you come along with me on this? But I'm going to leave you rational, and I'm going to try to get you to agree in freedom rather than I'm going to try to sneak you into doing whatever I want.
It seems like those demons are just sort of inflaming your passions or something, whereas these angels are actually working with your mind to like give you a thought that goes in a positive direction and leads you toward good through your feelings with the Lord sort of behind the scenes, managing the whole process. So it doesn't mean that it's a hopeless thing, but it's fascinating that there's kind of a protection in a way that our interests, our passions carry the day, kind of thing. But it's not that it's non-negotiable. It's just when that thing is active, you can't move that.
No, it's not permanent.
But if it moves an inch, boom, all of a sudden it can
just notice these cycles in yourself.
That's right.
Notice how that in our interactions with people, but also just when you're feeling strongly about something, like this is how it is. This is how I got it. Just think, okay, well, if I felt differently about this thing, would it be different to me? And that's actually, it sounds silly, but there's wisdom in that.
Yeah.
And that to just say, just because I'm feeling this way now, doesn't mean that's how things are.